Welcome to the Danny and Megan Show, broadcasting straight from Los Angeles, California. I'm your host, Megan Stewart, here with my co-host, Danny Lowe. Together, we bring you the most interesting, exciting, and trending topics of the moment. From deep dives into current events to fun and thought-provoking discussions, we've got something for everyone. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into what's making waves today.
Okay, so get this, right? We're going deep on a part of history that you might not, expect. The Jewish community in Brazil.
Yeah.
We're talking like centuries of this rich culture and, resilience and contributions that kind of get missed in the broader narratives. And, we love digging into these hidden gems.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we've got, a really fantastic guide in Frederico Goldstein.
Right.
He's tackled this in his novel, The Lost Daughters of Zion. But now he's back with a new book, kind of taking an even wider view of Jewish life in Brazil.
And here's what I find so fascinating about this. Goldstein's own family story is woven right into his work.
Wow.
He talks about Judaism being the anchor of his family, a legacy that's passed down from his grandmother, Sarah.
It's that idea of tradition, right? And lived experience, how these stories become more than just, tales. They shape your entire worldview.
Exactly. And for Goldstein, it's not just the stories, it's that whole sensory experience. Right? He talks about hearing his grandmother's stories amidst the aromas of cinnamon cardamom, in the kitchen. You can practically smell it.
Oh, yeah.
But here's where it gets even more interesting, okay?
Okay.
Sarah wasn't just sharing recipes, right? She was a Polish Jewish immigrant in Rio, and her experiences, let's just say, life threw her some curveballs.
Yeah, that's where things get really compelling because you have this intersection of cultural identity and immigration to a new land, and then you add on the specific challenges of being Jewish in Brazil at that time. What kind of prejudices did they face?
Yeah.
What were the social and political dynamics at play?
And get this, Sarah was actually forced into prostitution when she arrived. Can you imagine navigating a new culture, new language,
Right.
and you're facing that level of exploitation?
Right.
It makes you think about the grit and the determination it took to not just survive, but to preserve, a sense of identity, a sense of community.
It's a stark reminder that for many immigrants, especially women, the journey was fraught with hardship.
Yeah.
And often those stories get lost in the larger historical narrative.
Right.
So when Goldstein talks about Judaism being an anchor, it takes on a whole new meaning, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about faith at that point. It's about holding on to something solid in a world that feels anything but.
And this is where Goldstein's work, it really takes center stage. He doesn't shy away from these tough realities in his novel, The Lost Daughters of Zion. But it's not just Sarah's story. He broadens it out, right?
Yeah.
To explore the lives of other Jewish women who, like Sarah, were forced into prostitution in Rio.
It's such a poignant example of how personal stories can kind of open a window into a much larger and often, untold narrative. And in this case, it's giving a voice to these women, their struggles, their resilience, in a way that transcends, a single biography.
And it's interesting you say that because while The Lost Daughters of Zion uses fictional storytelling, Goldstein emphasizes that it's, deeply rooted in historical accuracy.
Yeah.
He spent years researching.
Wow.
He even tracked down descendants of these women.
Oh, wow.
Dug through archives, official documents, you name it, to make sure he got it right.
That's the mark of a true historian, right? That commitment to uncovering the truth, even when it's buried beneath layers of time and silence. And let's be real. I mean, these women weren't, writing memoirs or leaving behind diaries.
Right.
Their stories lived in the shadows, passed down through whispers, family lore.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Goldstein's work so powerful, right? He takes those whispers, those, fragmented memories, and kind of pieces them together with his research to create a more complete picture.
Yeah.
It's like he's shining a light on this hidden corner of history,
Absolutely.
illuminating the lives of women who might have otherwise been forgotten.
And think about the impact of that, right? Yeah. By reclaiming these stories, especially of marginalized women, we challenge the dominant narratives of the past.
Right.
Suddenly, it's not just about dates and battles and political figures.
Right.
It's about the human lives at stake, the individual struggles and triumphs that often get overlooked.
It reminds us that history isn't just something that happened to other people. It's a tapestry woven from countless individual experiences.
Right.
And often the most compelling threads are those that have been hidden from view.
And what's so fascinating about Goldstein is that he doesn't stop there. The Lost Daughters of Zion is just one piece of the puzzle, right? He goes on to explore the wider Jewish experience in Brazil over centuries in this new book.
Okay, so we're zooming out now, taking a broader view. But even in this wider lens, I'm sensing a recurring theme of resilience.
Yeah.
Goldstein talks about how Jewish communities in Brazil face their share of discrimination, yet they still manage to, like, thrive and contribute so much to Brazilian society.
Which begs the question, right? How do you hold on to your cultural identity, your traditions, while also adapting to a new environment, a new way of life? It's a question that resonates with so many immigrant communities even today.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to a certain strength, a flexibility of spirit that's really inspiring.
It's like this balancing act, right? You're
Yeah.
holding on to those roots, but you're also open to, like new possibilities.
Absolutely.
And from what I understand, Goldstein really digs into how Jewish identity itself has evolved, in the Brazilian context in this new book.
Yeah, it's like he's tracing the evolution of a culture within a culture. Like,
Right.
how did those Jewish traditions adapt and transform in this new environment? What stayed the same, and what inevitably had to change?
Right, right. Because we often think of cultural identity as like this fixed thing.
Yeah.
But Goldstein's work seems to challenge that notion.
Right.
It suggests that it's more fluid, it's more adaptable than we tend to realize.
And that's where the real aha moment is, I think.
Yeah.
Because if we can see how Jewish identity flourished, right, how it evolved in Brazil, it makes you wonder what can we learn from that? What does that tell us about, like, the dynamism of culture in and of itself?
It makes you think about all the different ways that people have navigated those intersections of identity, over time.
Right.
And speaking of navigating different worlds, there's another layer to Goldstein's story I find really fascinating. This guy's he's practically a citizen of the world.
Right.
He was born in Brazil, but he's also lived in the UK, and now he and his family they call Australia home.
It's funny, isn't it, how stepping outside of something can give you a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
It's like you said, like distance. Distance can bring clarity.
Totally.
Have you ever experienced that?
Oh yeah.
Like maybe traveling to a new place, or even just like reflecting on your own upbringing after, you've moved away.
Yeah, all the time actually. It's amazing how, like, a change in scenery can just make you see things in a whole new light.
Totally.
Like, those things that you took for granted about your hometown suddenly become, like, so much clearer, right? When you're looking at it from the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if that is part of what allows Goldstein to kind of bring such a nuanced perspective to this work.
Right.
He's able to examine these stories with a certain level of remove while still maintaining, like, a deep connection to his own heritage.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that's what makes his work so compelling,
Yeah.
He's not just, like, recounting history. He's inviting us to really consider its relevance to our own lives.
That's right.
He even says that, like, part of why he does this work is to inspire resilience and hope for the future.
Because these stories aren't, they're not just events of the past, right?
Yeah.
They hold lessons for us today. They're reminders of the strength, the adaptability of the human spirit.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into the world of Frederico Goldstein and the often untold stories of Jewish Brazil, I'm left with this sense of wonder, this curiosity about all the hidden histories that surround us, just waiting to be unearthed and understood.
And perhaps even more importantly, I think a sense of responsibility,
Yeah.
to seek those stories out, to listen to the voices that have been, silenced or marginalized, because in doing so, we enrich our understanding of the world, of ourselves.
And who knows, we might even uncover a few surprises right in our own backyards.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to the Danny and Megan Show. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found our discussions insightful and entertaining. If you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share our content with your friends. Don't forget to check the links in the description for more resources related to this episode. We're back every day with fresh topics, exciting recommendations, and the latest trends in books, cinema, and news. Stay tuned for more engaging content, and we can't wait to share our next adventure with you. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.